my YouTube channel. My name is Donna. Today I'm actually going to be sharing with you 22 healthy ways to cope and deal with stress. Now, with the way everything has been going this year or this past year, and I don't want to keep saying that because I feel like we are using that as an excuse to pretty much placate the way that our lives are going right now. So we're saying, well, look at everything we've been through, and since everything is the way that it is, but it doesn't need to be that way. That's the most important thing. The things that are going on around us do not control our lives. We need to take back that control and deal with stress on a healthier basis. So I am the first one to say that in the past, I have not dealt with stress very well. I didn't have stress in my life when I was, a child or going into my teenage years. But then once I hit the working years and I started managing a restaurant, like some of you know that I started working in a restaurant when I was 20 years old, and I became a restaurant manager very early on, probably around the age of 22. And what do I know at 22? I don't know how to manage a corporation. I don't know how to manage a business, let alone myself and employees. And I know that a lot of that stress, I did not handle it well. I thought I was, and a lot of people think they are, but then looking back, you really do realize that you could have handled those situations a lot better. And some of the reasons why I don't deal with stress well is because it's out of fear. Fear is really what's controlling our stress and our anxiety. What really sparks stress for me and anxiety is doing something that I've never done before, it being something that it is like a first time for me. I don't really like not being able to control my surroundings or my environment, and that gives me a lot of stress and anxiety going into a situation that I've never been before. Something so easy as maybe driving at night or going to a new location that I've never driven to before gives me really high anxiety. I start panicking, sweating, I start having, chest pains, my heart starts to race, and I really don't deal with the stress very well. Sometimes what I usually result to is lashing out at the people that are around me. Even the people who, are in my life or people who are trying to help, they really do get the blunt of my anxiety sometimes. And it has taken me a long time to learn how to deal and manage that stress on more of a healthier basis. So I want to share with you some of my tips and tricks that I have learned over the years. And it hasn't been until I really hit my, I want to say like my 38th, 39th year that I really started to really learn that a lot of that stress has to do with building your confidence. If you are not confident, then you are not going to be able to deal with those situations on a healthier level. You are going to immediately lash out, maybe even turn to substances or something to help you cope or use as a crutch or a mechanism to deal with that stress. I want to share with you some of the things that I've learned over the years that have helped me deal and cope with stress a lot healthier. So one of the first things I think really helps me deal with stress is waking up a lot earlier, even on the weekends. Now, I go to work at 5 o'clock every morning. Well, I wake up for work at 5 o'clock every morning, and I am waking up at least a half hour earlier than I really need to. I'm from New York. I drive in really heavy Long Island Expressway traffic, and sometimes you just don't know what is out there. And I hate to be in a situation where I'm going to be late for work, or I'm just going to be late in general, or I'm running late even if it's just a few minutes, or if I get to work exactly on time when I'm supposed to be there. I like to get in, I like to settle in, I like to take my time setting up and organizing my day. So I like to get up a little bit earlier than I need to get up because it really helps me start my day on the right foot. Now, even on the weekends, I am exhausted by the time Friday rolls around. I have literally gotten sometimes like less than 5 hours of sleep at night. And I know it's not really very healthy for me, but that's just the way that my body has always worked. I have always been a night owl. I could stay up super, super late and just work endlessly throughout the evening. And now that my schedule is so different, I really had to like pivot and learn how to wake up so much more, so much earlier in the morning and get my day started. So even on the weekends, I really try hard to keep that schedule so that when Monday rolls around, I'm not like falling back on my time. Sleeping late and feeling like you don't have enough time in the day to accomplish all your tasks really makes you feel a lot more stressed out. If you sleep until the afternoon and you have a whole bunch of chores to do and you seem to not be able to get to them, that could really add a lot of stress to you. Try to wake up earlier, even if it's on the weekends. Tip number 2 is I really like to prepare for my day the night before. So I like to get anything that I need to prepare, like either a bag or even food prepping the day before. I take my breakfast and my lunch to work every single day, and I prepare dinner at night when I get home. So I like to make sure that I'm getting my meals ready for that day, that I have my breakfast and lunch all set, maybe some snacks. I lay out my clothes for that specific day and make sure everything is neat and organized. Any paperwork or documents I may need to take with me, or even my journal, making sure that I have my keys, my car keys, anything that I'm going to need for work the next day. I like to prepare for it. So just preparing for the day the night before really helps you set the tone for the next day and really helps you deal with whatever stress, because you can kind of put that away and know that you are prepared and ready to tackle on the next day. Tip number 3 is to keep a journal or a planner. And by now you know how I feel about the importance about keeping a planner or a journal. The planner that I've been using lately is the Law of Attraction Planner by Freedom Mastery. I did a whole video about this planner, but you don't necessarily need a planner like this. You can pick up anything that you feel is going to fit your needs, or if you don't have a planner, at least just writing something down in a notebook and putting your tasks and your to-do list down on a planner and a piece of paper and seeing everything that you have to accomplish really helps reduce stress, because you know that you are holding yourself accountable and you can see the things that you need to do in a timely manner. Sometimes when we don't see in front of us all the things that we need to accomplish, it gets very overwhelming because we feel like we just can't get everything done. There's not enough hours in the day to accomplish everything. So by writing things down, you can hold yourself accountable, you can finish your tasks and literally cross everything right off your list as soon as they're accomplished. You can also see which things are more important over other things maybe, and if you have like specific appointments that you need to get to, you know that you aren't going to miss them because you have everything just documented and written down for you. And if you are going to use a Law of Attraction planner, which I definitely highly recommend, you can really write down and get all your feelings out on paper. Question yourself as to why you're having these feelings and really dive deep into your emotions. Pretty much decluttering your mind is going to really help you when you are trying to relieve stress and cope with stress. Just getting things off of your chest is really going to help you. And if you don't have anybody to talk to, you can just write everything down right in your planner or in your journal. Tip number 4 is learning how to say no. And I am definitely guilty of this. I tend to be like a people pleaser and I always want to help everyone. And in the end of the day, it kind of like hurts me instead. Instead of helping me, it's helping the other person, but it's not helping me in my own life. So I've learned how to say no to a lot of people and put my needs first in front of everyone else's. I feel like it's truly something that sometimes we just don't do. We have our parents and our family members and coworkers and people that we don't want to let down and disappoint. But at the end of the day, if it is hurting us and it's hurting our quality of life, we really need to learn how to say no. And it could be very difficult. Start out small, small little exercises that are going to help you say no. You will feel a weight being lifted off of your shoulders, off of your chest, if you put yourself first and just pick and choose the specific commitments that are really going to help you in your life. You will learn that you are feeling less stressed out because not only do you have all the things that you need to do and all the things that you need to accomplish, you now have someone else that you need to sort of like answer to. And if it just doesn't fit into your schedule, saying no is going to really make you feel less stressed. So I definitely suggest learning how to say no. And if you need to stand in front of a mirror a couple of times a day and just say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that over and over again as an exercise, then definitely try and do that, because saying no to yourself is probably a lot easier than saying no to other people. So definitely suggest doing that in the time being so you can learn how to say no more. Tip number 5, learning how to cut toxic people and relationships out of our lives. But removing ourselves out of situations and being around people that obviously are going to steer you in the wrong direction you are the company that you keep. So if you are hanging around with a crowd that is not looking out for your best interests or makes very bad and poor decisions, then you are going to fall down that trap, down that rabbit hole, and you are going to make those wrong and terrible decisions as well. And I learned this the hard way. I literally cut a lot of people out of my life and moved on and chose myself. Instead of following the crowd, I stood up for what was needed for my own particular life. And I removed a ton of toxic people out of my life and just cut those relationships and cut those ties. You want to be around people who are like-minded like you, who have the same goals and the same interests as you, because that's just going to help you catapult your life into the direction that you want to go and live the life that you're dreaming about living. If you stay with those toxic people in that toxic environment, you're going to get more of the same situation. So removing those people out of your life is going to not only relieve you of a lot of the stress and anxiety that you're going to have, but you're not going to be put in those positions anymore to make stress. So I definitely suggest remove those toxic situations. If you have to literally change your phone number, if you have to just decline every single phone call, if you have to block certain people out of your life and hit that unsubscribe button, then that's what you need to do so you can deal and cope with stress a lot better. Tip number 6 is to be better at time management. And this all coincides with waking up earlier and also keeping a journal or a planner. Being better at time management is literally going to help you relieve so much stress off of your shoulders, because you're going to be able to tackle every single task in your day. And I know that this is going to be difficult for a lot of people to do, especially if you're just starting out or you're bad at time management. So I have a whole video where I discuss how to be better at time management. And I also include a free PDF download. You can literally fill out this daily planner. This is something that I offer for free. It's so simple and easy to do. You can follow this exercise along with my video, and it just helps you set your intentions, make a to-do list, and then follow a very particular schedule. If you're bad at time management and you feel like, oh my God, the weight of the world is on my shoulders, I cannot get everything done within this day because there's just too much to do. How do I organize everything? What's a priority? What do I put first, second, third? How do I do this? You are definitely going to want to check out that video where I talk all about how to be better at time management, because it will definitely help you cope with those skills. I learned how to be great at time management because of the business that I worked in. Working in a restaurant really makes you very aware of what's going on around you and the time frame that you have to do everything within that day. I have basically a certain amount of time to get out someone's dinner entree or appetizer, or a schedule that I need to abide by. So I have really honed in my time management skills, and I definitely suggest checking out that video so you can learn a little bit of some of my tips and tricks how you can be better at time management. Once you start to succeeding with being better at your time, you are going to feel such a change in how you're coping with stress. So I definitely suggest checking out that video so you can get some tips and tricks on how you could be better at time management. Number 7, and I think that this is the most important tip that I have, is focus on yourself. That means taking time out and doing self-care and anything that you need to make yourself feel good and feel whole. I just did a whole video on what my daily self-care routine looks like, and this is going to be different for everyone. Whatever in your life makes you feel like you are putting the time and effort into your mental and physical health, then I definitely suggest doing that above all the rest of these things. Sometimes it's just too much for us. We're taking care of our families, we're taking care of our kids, we're going to work full time. There's just a lot of things on our plates. By not focusing on the things that we need in our life, if you are not at your best and the most healthiest, then you are not going to be able to help those people around you. So taking time, whether it be taking a bubble bath, whether it be doing your nails, doing your hair, doing a facial, reading a book, watching a movie or a TV show, spending time with your husband or your loved ones, whatever that is for you. By doing that and giving yourself the time necessary to basically regroup and recharge, it's definitely going to make you feel less stressed and help you cope with it a lot better. Tip number 8, if you are dealing with stress, talk to someone that you trust. I really didn't have a lot of people that I could talk to that I really trusted growing up. I had a very small group of friends. Writing down things that I felt in my journal was really my outlet. It really helped me cope with what I was going through. But if you have people in your life that you can turn to and talk to, talk it out with them. Even if it's somebody who's a professional, if that's the road that you need to take to make yourself feel better and cope a lot easier with stress, then I definitely suggest going ahead and doing something like that. By picking up the phone and just getting everything that you feel off your chest, you are going to feel so much lighter. You're going to make yourself feel like you are putting all those things behind you. Talking out your feelings with people that are really close to you, that you trust, or even talking to yourself, believe it or not, having a one-on-one conversation with yourself, and just getting those feelings off of your chest, talk it out, talk to God, talk to anyone or whoever that you believe in, will really help you cope and deal with stress a lot easier. Because when you're bottling all that feelings inside or those emotions inside and you don't have an outlet, it will definitely eat you up alive. It did for me for a very long time, not getting how I felt out. Even telling those people who, maybe wronged me in the past, but not being able to talk about my feelings, no matter how little they may seem to how big they are, you definitely need to get them off your chest and talk to someone about them. So I definitely suggest talking to a professional or someone that you trust to really talk through and get through all of your emotions or anything that you could be dealing with at that time. Number 9 is to read self-help or self-care books. And I have a couple here in my lap that I wanted to actually show you and talk to you about. The first one that I'm reading is You Are a Badass. This is from Jen Sincero. I am literally obsessed with this book. It is one of the best self-help books I've read in a really long time. And this really focuses on how to get over self-doubt. And I have a lot of self-doubt. I think it's one of the things that have always held me back in life, is that I was always doubting my feelings or my ideas, and I've never been able to execute them properly because I was always looking at what other people were doing and then comparing myself to what they were doing and saying, okay, well, they're doing it better, they're more successful, they're this, they're that. It really held me back from growing. So I think by reading what other people are going through and comparing what your experiences are with what their experiences are, you could really gain a lot of insight as to feeling how you feel, and know that it's okay to feel the way that you're feeling, and it's natural, and everybody goes through these types of emotions and types of feelings, and sometimes you just need a pick-me-up. Sometimes you need just a reminder that these things are okay. So I definitely recommend checking out this book, and I'm going to be doing a whole book series eventually. Once I'm done reading all of these books, I want to just gather up some more research and do some just tips and just an overview of everything and my thoughts on the books. But I definitely recommend, if you are on the hunt of maybe being a first-time entrepreneur and you're trying to get yourself out there and you're having a lot of self-doubt, I definitely suggest reading this book, You Are a Badass. I also picked up Girl Boss. I haven't started reading this yet because I'm reading 2 and 3 books at the same time, and I'm just bouncing back and forth. But this is another really great self-help book. I've heard so many things about this. And this is by Sophia Amoruso. And she's the girl who basically started her whole vintage eBay business by reselling clothing and stuff, and I used to follow her years and years ago, and I knew of her story, so I definitely wanted to pick up this book. And 2 books that really helped me with self-help and spiritual healing has been The Seed of the Soul and The Power of Now. This is by Gary Zukav and this is by Eckhart Tolle. These 2 books literally saved my life. The Seed of the Soul is so close to my heart. I did go over this in a previous video that I did on inspirational books to read in last year. So the next book that I wanted to talk about is called The Seed of the Soul, and this is written by Gary Zukav, and it's a #1 New York Times bestseller. This is the book that truly inspired me spiritually. It's my second copy. My first one, I just read a ton out of it. I had highlighted so many passages in the book that I wanted to keep on referring back to because I just love the content, and this is really one of my favorite books I've ever read. So this book is really meant to change how you see the world and how you interact with others. It also helps you understand your motivation and your intentions behind your actions. So the book starts out by explaining the theory of evolution and then quickly dives into other aspects of the soul, the creation of soul, and the personality behind your soul. But this I'm gonna dive like really deep into. I wanna reread the book again. I've read this about 3 times now. And if you are on a spiritual journey, you just need some insight on your feelings about spirituality and your internal struggles that you're going through, this is definitely a book that I would suggest. So getting yourself just a few self-help books to really get you out of the slum that you may feel is really going to help you with less stress. I think reading in general helps us take our mind off of what's going on in our life. It takes us on a creative journey where we can just see through the eyes of somebody else. And maybe it doesn't need to be self-help books. Maybe you can read books that are, really truly, interesting to you. Sorry if you can hear somebody is backing up their truck outside. So you can kind of hear a little bit of beeping. I wish, please stop because I'm in the middle of filming, but definitely try and read more books that are going to be geared towards your self-care or your self-help. Is going to really help you relieve a lot of that stress, and it's going to take your mind off of a lot of things. Tip number 11 is don't rely on outside substances. I'm talking about overindulging in bad things, overeating, alcohol, smoking, drinking, obviously. These are things that are really going to do a lot of damage to our body and to our physical and mental health. Now, these things are not going to fix what it is that you're going through or how you're feeling. It's going to help you maybe cope with your stress for a very small amount of time while you're under that influence, but it will not take away the problems that you are facing. And I know for a lot of us, especially when we're young, drinking and partying seems like just a great outlet. Also, numbs us and takes our mind off of the things that are going on in our life, especially if we can't handle or deal with the stress that is, that we're dealing with. But it's not going to fix the situation. You need to learn how to cope with stress and not become addicted to those outside substances, because it's really not going to help your situation. It's not going to help you grow as a person. It's not going to help you be successful. You're going to waste and spend a lot of money. Also going to be in with that crowd of people who are not looking at your best interest in mind. Tip number 12 is eat healthier, and that is something that I am struggling really hard this year to do. I had made it my 2021 goal to eat healthier, exercise, be mindful of all the things that I am putting into my body. But let's be honest, the bad things that are out there taste really good, like the McDonald's tastes good and the pizza tastes good and the hamburgers, they taste good and they're comfort food and they make us feel good for the moment, but they're not going to withstand the longevity that we need to have a healthier lifestyle and be less stressed. I feel so much lighter and so healthier when I am paying attention to my diet and my exercise. I do follow Weight Watchers. I plug in my numbers on my app. It's just a downloadable app, and I can see all the points that I'm using that day, and I really do see a change in my weight and my lifestyle and my attitude. I'm a lot healthier and less crankier when I'm not eating so much processed food. If you can do some sort of diet and exercise that's going to make you feel a lot lighter and a lot healthier, will definitely help you feel and deal with stress a lot easier. Tip number 13 is pursuing your passion. And this is what I've been doing over the last year, is really putting all of my time and my energy into my passion. And I feel like when I am focused on a project, when I am focused on work, when I am totally involved, I actually feel less stressed. The world around me and the things that I'm dealing with are not implementing itself into my mind, and I don't have time to worry about those things that are stressing me out because I'm just truly focused on getting my passion up off the ground. So if you have something that you really wanted to do, if there's something that you've always wanted to pursue and you haven't taken the time to do it, start out small. Start researching it, start, writing a business plan down or a game plan for yourself down so you can follow in that passion. But just try to put all your focus in something that you're passionate about will really help you relieve a lot of stress. For me, it helps me cope. When I'm being creative and I'm creating something, it really takes my mind off of all of the things that are going on that I really cannot control. Tip number 14 is spend more time with family and friends. And with the way our lives have been going right now, it is really hard to spend time with our family and friends. I have still yet to hang out with some of my friends that I haven't seen in such a long time, as well as my family. I have some family members that I haven't seen in almost a year, and you're starting to feel totally lost with the relationships that you had built up over all of your lifetime. So I feel like a little lost, I'm gonna be quite honest with you, because those people, since they're not in my life every single day like they used to, are starting to fall to the wayside, and I'm starting to lose that connection with them because the relationship isn't the same as it was last year before maybe all this pandemic started. So getting back into those relationships and kind of rebuilding them again and regrowing them again is really something that is going to help you cope with your stress, because you're bringing those familiar people back into your life again, those people that were your outlet at one time or another, and now they're just either they're not there as often, or you're having to make up ways to see them now. Like, our relationships with people have obviously pivoted and have changed. A lot of us are just seeing people that we used to see on maybe Zoom or on FaceTime, or we're working from home and we don't have those inter-office connections anymore, or our girlfriends from work, or whatever the case may be. Our relationships with a lot of people have changed, and either that is going to help you remove toxic people out of your life, like I was mentioning, or you're going to have to grow. And it is really hard to maintain relationships as it is. And it is really hard for me sometimes to stop worrying about what's going on in my life, stop worrying about myself. Even though I said you should put yourself first, you really have to put the needs of others and your friends, first too, because otherwise you're never going to have those relationships with people. So consciously make the time and the effort to pick up the phone and call someone, to text somebody, to reach out to someone who I care about that's in my life. You are never going to have those relationships, and having friends is a stress reliever. Being able to laugh and have fun with your family and friends is a stress reliever. So whatever it's going to take for you to get those relationships back on track, I definitely suggest it will help you cope with stress a lot more in the end. Tip number 15 is to get a pet if possible. And with all of us staying home, we had so much time on our hands to take care of these pets, and they really truly become part of like our family. I have no kids, so my 3-year-old cockapoo, her name is Chloe, is basically like my child. And when I was a teenager, I had a German Shepherd Collie mix. Her name was Lady, and I absolutely loved my dog. She slept with me every single day, and I never thought that I would be able to love something so much. Like, if you love your pets this much, how do you, you must love when you have a kid, you must love your kid probably 10 times more than you love your pet. But my heart breaks sometimes when I look at her, because I'm like, oh my God, I love my dog so much. I love spending time with her, and she really does relieve a lot of stress being home, and just feeling that unconditional love when you walk in the door and having your pet just jump on you and kiss you and love you. And obviously they use pets a lot for mental health and as emotional, they call emotional dogs and stuff like that, when you have a pet that helps you with your emotional issues. And it's definitely used as a mechanism for coping in stress and mental illness. Putting some of that time aside and that love aside for a pet really is so relieving. It makes you it's so euphoric to spend time with your dog or your pet, or something that relies on you, that's just going to love you so much. So tip number 16 is to question those negative thoughts. So I know that growing up, I was I don't want to say a Debbie Downer, that's not how I really was. I just had a lot of I had no place to put my emotions and my feelings, and I had a lot of and I was very negative, let's just put it that way. And I am also a Cancer, and so I know that Cancer is an astrological sign that's really hard to get along with sometimes. They just take a lot of that negativity and they push that into everyone else's life, and they expect the other people to feel the same way that they do sometimes. But I know that learning how to cope with my negativity and learn why I was feeling so negative, no matter how many people are in your life, they can only stand your negativity for so long. And you're gonna wound up just losing amazing relationships, losing amazing jobs because of your outlook in life. And I feel like once I hit like my 39, 40s, I know it seems like a really long time to like learn these things, but I feel like that's okay. Everyone grows and learns things in a different time frame. And for me, it's just like an eye-opening experience to say to yourself, I feel like I don't need to hold on to this negativity anymore. And it really also came with being confident and having self-confidence, because you don't need to be negative anymore. And a lot of it also comes from life experiences. And if you don't have those specific life experiences, then you don't know how to cope with certain situations. But then when you are older and you could look back and gain a totally different perspective, then you know that you don't have to deal with that experience negatively anymore. And you could take a totally different approach to that situation, an approach filled with more admiration and respect and love and understanding. And you will learn that this is just a better way to live. Another tip that I have is to be nicer to the people around you. And I know that sometimes that's hard. I know that it's hard for me sometimes, because I sometimes think that everyone around me is just, I don't know what planet they're on. I think they're in La La Land sometimes. And you know, being from New York, you deal with a lot of different people and a lot of different personalities. And you really have to learn how to change your way of thinking so that you can not be stressed out every single day. But it's how you control yourself, how you deal with maybe nasty people or stupid people or ignorant people, or, you know, maybe people who are not at your level at this moment in their life. Learning how to just be nicer, like learning that those people are human too, and that we're all going through something, and that being nasty and negative is not going to get you the outcome that you want at all and ever. You're never going to see an outcome that you want to see by being negative to other people. I feel like a lot of these tips that I'm sharing with you today are super common sense. Like, obviously, we should be doing this already in our daily life. But you know what? Some of us just don't. And some of us don't have the tools to help us grow and be better people and cope with stress. That's why I'm sharing these 22 tips with you today, because a lot of people don't have the support system that's necessary to help them deal and cope with just stress and the world and life around them. So if these tips can help you, then I'm so super grateful and happy. Tip number 18 is take a break from social media. And if you watched my my daily self-care routine, you'll know that I put down my social media before I go to bed. And one of the things that I'm trying really hard to do is to not pick up my phone right away as soon as I wake up in the morning, because I feel like that just sets the tone for the entire day moving forward. Once I'm on social media, like right away, I feel like I have to check social media all day long, no matter what. And just obviously we're on there. Our emails are on there. Some of us are working off of our phones now, and it's just our social media is attached to our work phones or the phone that we're using for work. So it's kind of hard to like not check social media, not to check and see, you know, what's going on in the real world, but it's not the real world. Instagram and social media is just a picture. It's a facade of what people want to share with you. It's a small window of what's going on in other people's lives. And I know some people feel like, well, look at that person's life. It's so much better than mine. They have so many things. And I make that big mistake of comparing my life to other people's lives. But that's just a fraction of what you see. And if that's the life that you want to live, then dream it up. Put it on your vision board and do the things and the steps that it takes to get the life that you want to live. And that is what we're doing here today. We are trying to build a life worth living. We're trying to build our dream life. So put down social media for a little while, take a break if you can, and you will definitely help declutter your mind and be free of all that social stuff. That social anxiety is just, it's not good. It's not good for us anymore. Tip number 19 is to let go of the past. And I think I'm going to be doing a whole video on how the past and our demons and the things that we hold on to can really, really affect ourselves and our growth. I held on to a lot of grudges. I've gone through a lot of things in my life that made me resent a lot of people and put all those negative thoughts in my mind. I have a reason to resent people in my life, and by holding on to the past, it only hurts us. It does not help us grow. It does not help us forgive. It does not help us become the women and men that we want to become, because what we went through does not define us as a human being. It does not define us as an adult. It's something that we go through, and maybe it's a lesson that we needed to take. Maybe it's a lesson worth learning so we can grow as a human being, but it does not define who we are. And dealing with what we've gone through in the past, whether you can tell the person that has wronged you and hurt you, and you can face that person and get it off your chest. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's just so severe that you cannot even have that conversation. And sometimes you feel like you're just never going to get closure, or the person that you are confronting just does not accept or does not acknowledge that they did anything wrong to you. And then you're just even more stressed out because you feel like you're just never getting listened to, or you're never getting heard. So there's a lot of things that can hold on to resentment, but you have to let it go. Like, you will feel like you can breathe again when you let go of these negative thoughts, let go of the past, forgive, let it go, because it does not define who you are today. And it will not define the person that you are even in the future. So it will never help you. So just let go, if you can, of things in your past. Tip number 20 is to burn candles or essential oils. And I'm still very new to the essential oil game. I have a nice lavender scent candle burning right behind me. It smells so amazing and delicious. I have my essential oils that I try to light, or I burn them every single night. I love lavender, bergamot. I love jasmine. It really helps you reduce stress, it helps you sleep, it helps you relax. So if you want to start getting into what essential oils are good for you, it's such a healthy way to go. It's just a alternative to a healthier lifestyle. Using essential oils to just clean up some ailments that you may have, or headaches, or just to keep your house nice and fresh and clean. Make sure, if you do have pets though, you want to make sure that you're choosing the right essential oils or the right candles for your pets. It's just such a stress reliever, a healthy stress reliever. And I will also leave down below the diffuser that I am using. I love the look of it. It is so cool and aesthetic pleasing. It's like a light bamboo, and it was so super affordable, and it came with a ton of essential oils. Tip number 21 is to listen to music. Love music. It is one of the things that always got me out of the funk that I was always in. And being like a 90s kid, that's all you did was basically in 80s and 90s just listen to music, record things off the radio, have mixtapes. And I listened to a lot of music, and I can ramble on and on for hours on who you should be listening to, but it really is who makes you feel good. Like, what music makes you feel reminiscent or happy or safe, or just makes you feel just alive. There are so many amazing songs out there. So if you are feeling down about yourself, just listen to some music. Put on some Elvis, listen to some Hall & Oates, get out there, listen to some, what were we listening to the other day? Throw on some Billy Joel, listen to some good music, and you will feel so much better. I know I always do, especially if you want to throw in some karaoke in there too, and you want to start singing your heart away. You will feel like all the stress is literally just leaving your body. So have fun with music, listen to as much as you possibly can. You will feel so much better. And I love to listen to music like in my car when I'm alone, when I have like my sunroof down and it's a beautiful day outside and I'm just cruising, singing and listening to songs. You feel so happy. I know it makes me feel happy. So listen to music. And my final tip number 22, is to smile more. Smiling is contagious. Smiling makes you look beautiful. smiling makes other people smile and makes you look and feel happy. And I know I didn't smile for a really long time. I also did not like my smile at all, and I had to work on fixing that, and that was something that really hurt my self-confidence. But smiling more is great. It makes you feel great about yourself. It makes the other person feel great. It makes you look like you are happy. And the whole point of learning how to cope and deal with stress healthier is to be happier as well. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video and you got a ton of tips on things that you can do to help you cope and deal with stress on a more healthier level. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell. Next week, I have a new video coming out. We're gonna be talking about how to revisit loving yourself again. And I think that this is really super important. And I'm gonna have an exercise that's gonna also go along with that video. So you're gonna wanna make sure you hit that notification bell so when that new video comes out, you get an alert right away so you can run over and watch that video. So for now, guys, thank you so much for watching and have a great week. I'll talk to you real soon. Bye.